Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be the red pill made my life worse. Corey Wayne had solutions that worked. Well, I've got two email success stories I'm going to share with you from two different guys. And the first guy basically had been struggling since he was younger. He said he even got into red pill content, which just made things worse. Then obviously he came across this little beauty here, this shaved head dude, and he's got a great success story. And second one, same thing. Guy completely changed his life around. He's a digital nomad, very successful now. And so it's two good email success stories from guys that actually applied what was in the book and have completely transformed their lives for the better. No thanks to red pill nonsense. So he says, "Hey coach, I hope this email finds you well. You previously read my success story in the video, No More Needy Mr. Nice Guy. I want to continue sharing the next phase of evolution while studying your work. Before your work, life was hard. I had no clear vision. I was bad at my job, addicted to porn. Women were repulsed by me, and I was angry at the world." It's pretty hard to attract women when you're angry at the world. "Going deep into the red pill only made things worse." Because most of what's in the red pill just gives you reasons to be angry and pissed off at women, and plus a lot of those dudes that are doing well and have lots of views are doing nothing but showing you a bunch of hookers and sex workers and chicks from broken homes as if this is the dating pool that all of us have to choose from, and all women are this way. Modern women, they like to say a lot. Those things get a lot of clicks, but they're really not high on solutions to those clicks. And they tend to just spin guys out into anger and no solutions, and then they come to me and their life turns around. I've had lots of guys also over the last few years. They were doing well with my work, and then they got into the red pill stuff. It made them angry and bitter, and then all their success evaporated. And then they got back into my work, and all the success came back. He says, "As I dove into your work head first, things got better, as you read with my last email success story. However, I just wanted to share how more time and repetition has led to even more success." Well, remember, repetition's the mother of skill. As Aristotle said, excellence is not a singular act. It is a habit. You are what you do repeatedly. I've had a ton of professional wins as an early employee at a fast-growing tech startup. As a result of putting in the work, accepting setbacks, and watching your videos on a daily basis, I got promoted, I won awards, got a standing ovation for public speaking performance in front of 120 people, and was able to negotiate to work remotely in an awesome city in South America with no adjustment to my earnings. Yeah, I go into extensive detail in my second book, Mastering Yourself, all about career, because this book is how to align your life with your true calling and reach your full potential. So when I read success stories like this guy and the negotiation tactics that he used, how he got a better job, how he's able to negotiate terms and conditions that he wanted, which were typically for most people, it's better than they expected. I read these kind of results all the time. So when you apply what's in Mastering Yourself and 3% Man, you're going to have great results. And the good news is I got two quotes books that are out, quotes volume 1 and 2, that tie both the concepts in both books together. So back to our success story here. He says, "As a result, my lifestyle is amazing with private salsa classes, private MMA classes, yoga, and fun things to do on the weekend for a fraction of the cost in the US. As for my dating life, I've never felt more confident. I had to make my Tinder and Bumble profiles invisible because I've gotten so many matches and I can't blame them, obviously. Dates are so easy and effortless because I've read the book 15 times. Well, the reason you read it 15 times is so you get to know it backwards and forwards and you can teach a class on it. That way you act instinctually versus somebody that's only been through it a couple of times or just cherry picking in videos. You're going to be in your head a lot and you're going to be trying to overthink things and you're going to come off as robotic, and that's not going to work well for you. You might get some attainable success, but you won't be able to sustain it. I just say what's on my mind to women, and they love my confidence because I have no fear. However, I'm still not satisfied. There's more money to make, more fun experiences to be had. And from a dating perspective, attracting 7s and 8s has been easy, but I'm not satisfied and will be reading the book 10 to 15 more times and taking action so that I can really get that unicorn. Thanks for everything you do, and I can even see how you are continuing to grow with new video formats, getting the girls more involved, etc. Way to keep the bar high and set the example. A message to the viewers: if you're not having the success you want, keep reading the book and taking action. No excuses. Wishing you all the best, Bob. Well, thank you, Bob. Thanks for the update. Feels pretty good to have total control of your time and your life, to be able to spend it in your own way. So let's go to the second guy's email. He says, "Hey, Corey, quickly about me. I'm 23 years old, and since the first girl I kissed when I was 16 years old, there have been 5 girls that I've been with, dated, and I have had a very, very high level of attraction to each one of them. And 4 of those 5 were the ones to eventually reject me." Well, if you haven't cleaned up your behavior and you've got some blind spot, you got knowledge gaps, those things are going to happen. And if you don't figure out what those blind spots are, which is what 3% man tends to do, when people read it, they're like, I did that. That girl said that to me. Then it helps you figure out what you've been doing wrong so you can take corrective action. And then you stop displaying the behavior that's unattractive that turns women off. And then it just fixes that problem because you're no longer acting that way. I've always been a people person, and I've been told I'm handsome. I'm funny. I'm great at banter, and I naturally already have been doing plenty of what you teach. But those 4 times I got rejected, I felt so sad and defeated, but each time by a smaller amount. Well, it's the pain from those experiences that get you to the point where it's like you hit the wall, and you're like, what I'm doing is not working. Obviously, I need to change my approach. This is not normal to fail this much. The first girl, it took me a year to get over. The second girl, I'd say 9 months, and then 6 months, and then maybe 1 or 2, as a result of age and experience, I presume. Well, typically, when you've had a long-term relationship of a few years with somebody, and it's really intense, and then you break up and go your separate ways for whatever reason, most people, on average, take about 1.5 years to totally get over it. Now, if it's a girl you started dating, you dated for a month or 2, and you were really into her and you got rejected and she ghosted you and rode off into the sunset, typically those you're going to get over quicker, but they still sting. You still remember it. And it doesn't feel good. I found your material this summer after getting rejected by girl number 5. I read your book twice, and I've watched a ton of videos. Well, if you've only read the book twice since the summer, you got to step up your game, dude, because that's how you lose a girl you really like in a relationship. Because guys that start watching the videos and they read a book a couple times, they start getting good success, and they're like, hey, I got this. This is on autopilot. And then it's not until 6 months later when they really need the relationship skills that things go sideways, and then they're trying to turn it around when that next new girl has ghosted them or friend zoned them or dumped them, or is now talking to a new guy. You have empowered me so much, and mentally I felt so much stronger and happier since I came across your work. Well, what builds your confidence with my work is that the things that I teach, unlike the Red Pill community, these things actually work. So even if you think I'm full of crap, if you apply what I teach, you'll see that it works for you. And the majority of the Red Pill content I've seen, it just keeps guys in a loop of negativity, more books, more reasons to get pissed off and complain about women, but no actual tips that actually teaches them how to understand women and how attraction works and to attract and keep a woman attracted to you. It's just it's modern women, that's the problem. Well, if you do a crappy job of vetting your girl, like the video newsletter that I did yesterday, the guy where he says, my girlfriend cheated on me, got pregnant, but I'm not the father. I mean, that's like a worst case scenario. And he was dating this girl when she was with some other guy. So she was cheating on her boyfriend, which turned out, we found out at the end of the email, was actually her husband that she was married to for 7 years. And he was out of the country and came to visit her several times a year. And then so whenever the husband would come in, she'd make up some excuse, oh, my father's coming to visit and he hates your guts, so you can't be here. And the guy bought it. He believed in it. And so you could look at that and go, oh, see, it's all modern women. No, he didn't vet the girl properly. Character's destiny, and you gotta look and see what somebody's character is. And a lot of those red pill dudes, they've been burned by a couple of girls, and they don't fill in their knowledge gaps, and guess what? They keep attracting the same woman. And so from their perspective, you can understand how they go, oh yeah, well, this is all modern women. Well, it's like if you're fishing in a shitty pond and you're not liking the fish that you're getting, you probably should fish somewhere else. But you got to vet properly. Doesn't matter how, she could even come from what appears to be a good family, or the parents could be together. That just because the parents are together doesn't mean that they taught their daughter the right way to be. She could be a total ratchet. I've known people that I grew up with, came from wealthy families. They had every advantage. They should have been living the life that most people dream of. And then they just turned into mediocre, average people that never did anything even remotely close to the level of success that their parents had. So just because you come from money doesn't mean you're going to be rich and shameless yourself. Depends on what you're taught, depends on the values, and it depends on your integrity. And you got to be able to vet people properly, and that's a big thing that I see in the red pill community is these guys they don't vet very well, and they don't take any responsibility for their lack of shitty choices. They just say, oh, it's all modern women. Oh, it's hypergamy. If you try to turn a hoe into a housewife and you get burned, it's not hypergamy. It's you try to turn a hoe into a housewife. It's not complicated. Or women want to date up. It's like that's not some earth-shattering revelation. Men and women both want to date up. We always want to feel like we got better than we deserved. Even when you buy a house or a car, you want to feel like, hey, what does everybody say? Oh, I got a really good deal on this. I got a really good deal in that house. I got a really good deal in that car. I got a really good deal in that gym equipment. Whatever it happens to be. The biggest thing you did for me was help me realize what I had done wrong in the past and find the parallels between each of these situations. Each of these times, I did an awesome job getting girls I was 10 out of 10 attracted to be super into me, but each time I eventually became needy, felt unworthy, and got one-itis. I liked them all too damn much and didn't have the self-worth to even consider walking away. And when they sensed that, I chased and pushed them away until they were gone. Yeah, you can only act unworthy with a woman for so long before she goes, you know what? You really don't deserve me. I agree with you. You're out of here. But your material helped everything start to make an abundance of sense to me. It's simple. Their attraction levels decreased because I acted like a needy beta male who constantly needed their approval and assurance that they still liked me. I wasted so much time overthinking, overanalyzing, and sulking about the past. But this summer, I had this big light bulb moment where I realized to not take those rejections personally at all. I was never not good enough for them. Of course I was. I successfully courted and developed attraction and had relationships with them, but I just couldn't fucking keep a level head, and I didn't have the alpha traits that you teach. It really boils down to your mindset. That's why they left, because of what I said and did, which means I can control it. Well, as the late, great Don Shula said, strong men blame themselves, weak men blame others. And if you're here watching my videos, you're somebody that takes personal responsibility for everything in your life. That's how we roll here. If you want to point the finger and go, it's all modern women, they're all the same. Well, this is probably not the place for you. We're here because if you take personal responsibility for everything in your life, then that means on some level, whether it's your thoughts, your emotions, your words, the people that you're hanging out with, the circles that you're running in, somehow, some way, on some level, you drew that person that screwed you over into your life. And you have to learn and figure out where you went wrong, where you failed to vet them properly, and what red flags they showed did you ignore. Because it's only when you're able to recognize that and see where your blind spots are and figure out your knowledge gaps that you fill them in, and you could solve that problem. But as soon as you point the finger and say, it's modern women, it's not my fault, it's hypergamy, or whatever nonsense term, then hey, I don't have to fix anything. It wasn't my fault. It's just dumb blind luck that this happened to me. Everything happens for a reason in life. And real men blame themselves for everything good and bad that's in their lives. Simple, plain and simple. It's not any more complicated than that. Weak men point the finger at other people. He says, I can't blame them. It's in their nature. They should have walked away. I've always had it in me, but my mindset was flawed. You've been so helpful in leading me to this realization, and I'm incredibly grateful for your work. And now, a new success story. I moved to a new city after graduation this July where I didn't really know anybody. I decided I wanted nothing to do with dating apps, just not for me. When I traveled to 2 different cities for work, I hit up and took out 2 girls on dates that I was friends with from high school, which led to the Indoor Olympics. They were both cute, and we had a good time, but there just wasn't a spark, so it pretty much was whatever to me. Even though it was nice to have those experiences, it reinforced that feeling of, I'm happy being single and working on myself and having fun. I don't need to try hard to date right now. I'm young and have plenty of fun and productive things to do. And things happen when they happen. I'm a big college hoops guy, and after a long day of watching March Madness a couple of weeks ago, I was out with some buddies after the games ended. I hit a wall and didn't really want to be at this bar anymore and decided to walk home alone. I swear I wasn't even hungry, but something pulled me into this late night food Chinese spot. I met this girl in line there and we totally hit it off. I got her number and I finally took her out on a date this Wednesday. And it went so well. The conversation flowed and we had such a fun time. I am so attracted to her and she checks a lot of boxes on my list personally and character-wise. Character is destiny. If you're hanging out with nothing but strippers and sex workers and girls that club promoters bring your way, those are probably not family-oriented women, typically, that are going to be good to have a relationship with, and especially detrimental if you decide to wife one of them up. I could tell by her body language and by the way she touched me that she was very into it pretty soon, and which was awesome. I sealed it with a kiss after walking her home 3 hours later, and she already was saying, when can I see you again? As I called my ride home, you'd love this too, I set the date for 7 p.m. a few days before, and she texted me at 6:50 because she thought I forgot about it since I hadn't said anything. He says, I'm a man of my word. I said when she brought it up. That definitely raised her interest and that I had the confidence to do that. Of course, I was going to reach out for the next few days, but she texted, hi, at around midnight on Friday. She couldn't stand it anymore. I was having a low-key night with the fellas, so I didn't respond. I reached out Saturday morning and set up our second date for this upcoming Wednesday. It's easy to follow the rules, and you follow some of them without even trying when you aren't that into a girl. But when you are really very emotionally excited, it takes much more discipline and self-control. That's where knowing the book comes into play, is that you can, especially if you've got things, because you got to remember, we've been propagandized by the same TV and movies, and we all become emotionally anchored to behaviors that are simply dysfunctional and the opposite of what creates attraction. And so something may feel right for us to do in these situations, but if you're repulsing women or you're always have turned them off, and then you read the book, you understand what turned them off in the past, you have to be aware of it in order to change the behavior. But if you're not aware of it, you're just going to act with how you were emotionally anchored to whatever behavior it was. And then, of course, you get the undesired result. But when you're aware of it, you feel the urge to do the wrong thing. But then you can think back to all the times you got rejected and things didn't work out. And you consciously choose to no longer do that behavior. And then what happens is you see her interest goes up. And so each time you do that, each time you apply what's in the book, each time you exercise self-control, you see good results. Slowly but surely over time, you emotionally anchor yourself to the natural ways of attraction that are innate to all of us, and you undo that dysfunctional programming that we've all received from the media and TV. He says, putting that into action with this girl, and I'm excited to see where it goes. If you read this whole thing, thank you, Corey. Since that first girl, when I was 16, up until that girl kicked me to the curb last spring, I spent plenty of time feeling shitty about myself and feeling sad about women. Yeah, that's why a lot of the dudes in the red pill community never get out of it. They just keep going in a circle. It's all modern women. It's all modern women. It's hypergamy doesn't care. I haven't felt that way at all since my light bulb moment, which has allowed me to focus on other areas of my life. I've grown and learned a ton through those experiences, but it's your book that has unlocked another level for my confidence about dating and relationships. There's always more room to grow, and I know I'm young and still have plenty to learn, but nonetheless, I feel amazing right now, and I'm so thankful for you. Well, congratulations on your success, Bob. And you can say, well, the fifth try seems to be the best one. But it doesn't mean he's going to live happily ever after with this particular woman. He's in a position of choice, though. He's no longer, as long as he continues to do what's in the book, he's no longer going to be in a situation where a girl he really likes ditches him and doesn't want anything to do with him, because he's now become aware, he's taking corrective action, and her interest is moving in the right direction because his behaviors line up with what's in the book. Repetition is the mother of skill. As Aristotle said, excellence is not a singular act. It is a habit. You are what you do repeatedly. What you observe, you participate in. So if you're consuming a lot of content that tells you it's not your fault for things being the way they are in life, it's somebody else's, you are abdicating personal responsibility for your life, and you will lose the ability to shape and change your destiny for the better. That's why, again, a lot of these red pill channels, it's the same women, same types of women that they have in their show, because that's pretty much all that they tend to attract, because it's their mindset. And they can't see the forest through the trees, so to speak. They can't see that the way they're showing up in life and the circles that they're running in are attracting the same kind of broken woman into their life. And if you were walking in their shoes and having that experience, it's understandable why you get caught in that negative loop and nothing ever changes. Because it's much easier to blame other people than say, hey, it's all my fault, and I got to figure out what I need to do differently so this shit doesn't happen again. That's what men do. Beta males complain about it and bitch and whine about women, complain about single moms and all other shit. Real men fix their lives, fix their problems, and then move on to the next evolution. So if you got a question or challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a coaching session with yours truly. Until next time, I will talk to you soon.